Hello, welcome back to the second semester Generic English course. I am Dr. Vidya Patil, serving as Associate Professor of English at Government First Grade College for Women, Bidar. I will be guiding and assisting you during this course. In today's video, we will try to understand what is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication helps to enhance your communication style and helps to make your communication more effective. So it is very necessary that we realize what we are conveying through various gestures, postures, expressions, our eye contact, the tone of our voice, and other things. Once you get a proper understanding of these different aspects of nonverbal communication, you will be much more aware about it and will be able to control and manage it so that you can communicate more effectively. There are two main types of communication, that is verbal and non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is the process of conveying a particular information or meaning without using written or spoken words. In such kind of a communication, uh, uh, conveying a message is made possible through the use of facial expressions, gestures, postures, as well as hand movements and the tone of our voice. These non-verbal signals help to give additional information from what the verbal means, that is by use of words. Some estimates have suggested that around 70 to 80% of the communication in a normal day takes place through non-verbal means. As you can see from the chart on your screen, verbal communication, that is making use of words, contributes only 7% in conveying the meaning. 38% of the meaning is conveyed through the voice, the tone, the modulation, and the pauses. This branch of study is known as kinesics. The remaining 55% of the conveying of the meaning in the communication process takes place through non-verbal means, that is, which is in common man language called as body language. Movements, gestures, postures, facial expressions, all these contribute in conveying the meaning more effectively. Let us now try to see some of the main characteristics of non-verbal communication. As the name itself suggests, we do not make use of words when we are communicating non-verbally. Most of these non-verbal communication means are culturally determined. That is, they are different in different regions and in different countries. So, the social context will in a large way influence the non-verbal communication means in that particular region. Usually, the means of non-verbal communication are very vague and sometimes quite imprecise. The person may use a certain non-verbal gesture or a posture which may not actually be conveying what he is thinking or feeling about. Sometimes these non-verbal means may be in complete contrast to what the verbal message is being conveyed by the speaker. So we need to be careful whenever we are speaking to see to it that our non-verbal communication means do not negate what is being said. Most of the non-verbal means of communication are largely unconscious in nature. That is, we are not aware of what non-verbal means we are using while we are communicating. These non-verbal means help to show our feelings and attitudes effectively. Most of these non-verbal means of communication are quite informal in nature without any fixed written rules or laws which you need to follow. Non-verbal communication helps us in many ways. They help to reinforce or modify what is being said in words. For example, people may nod their head when they want to say yes. So, it emphasizes the fact that they agree with the speaker. Non-verbal communication helps to convey information about their emotional state. So, our facial expressions, our tone of voice, and our body language will often help to tell people exactly how we feel, even if you have not even said or uttered a single word. We can understand how people are feeling from their non-verbal communication, especially their facial expressions, their eye contact, and the tone of their voice. Non-verbal communication means helps to define or reinforce the relationships between people. Certain movements help to reinforce this relationship by building on the rapport and help them to feel more connected with the other people. Non-verbal communication means can also be taken as a means to provide feedback to the other person. When we look at the uh, smiles and nods given by the listener, we realize that they have understood our message and agree with us. So these subtle signals can give information in a very gentle and clear manner. Non-verbal communications also regulate the flow of communication. So, if you want to change a particular topic, or if you want to end the conversation, or sometimes even if you are bored with the conversation, the non-verbal means can convey this to the listener which are the different types of non-verbal communication. In this manner, non-verbal communication, your clothing, are very useful for the choice of to communicate effectively. All these together are known as the personal appearance. Facial expressions, that is, whether you're smiling or you have a frown or you're angry, are all conveyed through your facial expressions. Eye contacts or movement of eyes, blinking of eyes also convey various things unknowingly to the speaker. Gestures are hand movements or winking or nodding. Postures involves arm crossing, leg crossing, seating position. So generally the way you sit or walk. Space distancing refers to the distance which you maintain with the speaker while you are communicating with him or her. Paralinguistics refers to the tone of voice, the pitch, the loudness with which you speak, and how the message is being conveyed. So, let us now try to understand each of these in detail. Personal appearance is usually very essential to learn about, because the first impression which you give or put across to others sets the tone of the kind of relationship which you will have with the other person. There is a saying that the first impression is the best impression as well as the most lasting impression. Therefore, we need to pay attention to our personal appearance. When we are talking about personal appearance, it generally includes our dress, hair, jewelry, makeup, belt, buckles, and so on. Appearance indicates uh, the kind of personality which you have. It is a reflection of your personality, and in many times, it is always so advisable that we have such an or we develop such an appearance which will show that we have a pleasant personality. One's dress is usually observed to also see whether we conform to the accepted standards or whether we are more individualistic in nature. Facial expressions uh, and interpretations of these expressions can differ from culture to culture. Smiling is the most um, relevant facial expression which you can have, and which usually transmits feelings of happiness, friendliness, warmth, liking, and affiliation. So, if you smile frequently, you will be perceived as a very friendly, likable, warm, and approachable person. So, the best facial expression which you can carry is smiling. Eye contact. Eye contact is one of the easiest and most powerful ways to make a person feel recognized, understood, and validated. So, when you maintain eye contact with the person you are talking to, then the other person gets a feeling of validation, which is very essential in a conversation. Gestures refers to the visible bodily actions which usually communicate particular messages. This may include movement of the hands, face, eyes, head, or other parts of the body. Common gestures which you all may be knowing about are waving, pointing, using figures to indicate certain amounts, or in conveying something. If you fail to gesture while you are speaking, you may be considered or perceived as a very boring, stiff, and unanimated person. So, but we should be aware of the gestures and whether they are socially acceptable or not. Postures also communicate uh, in various ways. So, whenever you are walking or talking, it communicates indirectly a lot about your personality. So, on the screen, you can find images of what is the right posture to maintain while you are sitting or walking. The main mantra for having a good posture is to keep an erect back. Space distancing. People often have a need for personal space. This is an important type of non-verbal communication. The physical distance which you maintain with others signals your level of intimacy and comfort with the other person. So, we should be aware of this and try not to intrude in the personal space of others. Space and distance are very significant non-verbal tools, especially in the professional field. Usually, 0 to 18 inches is considered to be suitable for very intimate relationships only. 18 inches to 4 feet is the personal space where you can allow friends. 4 feet to 12 feet is known as the social space, where people you know are allowed, and more than 12 feet is said to be public space. So, in this way, you should be aware of these social distancing measures and follow them whenever you are communicating with others. Paralanguage. So, the main kind of communication is done with the tone of your voice. Though you may be using the right words, but if your tone is not suitable to the words which you are using, then the entire process of communication is wasted. That is why it is necessary that we learn more about our how to control and manage the tone of our voice. Nearly 38% of the communication takes place through making right use of the para language. Along with the tone of the voice, the style of speaking, voice quality, the rate or speed of speaking, stress, emotions, intonations, animation, all help to improve the efficiency and efficacy of communication. All these aspects are considered as non-verbal aspects of communication. So, under paralanguage, some of the important facets of non-verbal communication include vocal elements such as tone, rate, volume, loudness, and animation. Whenever we are delivering a speech, it is always necessary that we alter our tone and use gestures. By doing this, we can enforce what we are saying and emphasize on particular aspects which we want our audiences to remember. Let us now try to see or understand different ways by which we can improve non-verbal communication. One of the essential points which you need to keep in mind is that you should maintain eye contact with the person you are speaking. We need to use our facial expressions effectively. Also, we should be considerate about the personal space of others and try not to intrude into their personal space. We should always be careful and mindful about our posture. We should be aware of the tones and sounds, not only of our own, but also of others, to find out the underlying message which is being said. In this way, non-verbal communication can be used to improve the efficiency of communication. We have now understood what are the different types of non-verbal communication and how we can use these non-verbal communication means to improve our communication. Therefore, you all students need to become more conscious about the various non-verbal communication means which you are using. For example, we should be aware of the gestures, the postures, our facial expressions, the eye contact, the space distance, as well as the tone of our voice while we are communicating with others. If you are aware and know how to regulate these, you will be able to communicate more effectively. I hope you like this video. Thank you.